Welcome back to Texas Untold, a history podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Farley, and today we're diving into the life and legacy of a man who didn't just shape Texas, he helped create it. I'm talking about Stephen Fuller Austin, a man who earned the title Father of Texas. You've probably heard the name. His statue stands in front of the Texas Capitol. A major city bears his name. But who was Stephen F. Austin? Really, deep down, who was this man? What made him so important to Texas history? And was he a visionary hero or a man shaped by his times? Let's take a closer look at the complicated and remarkable life of the man who brought hundreds of American families to Mexican Texas and helped spark a revolution. Stephen Fuller Austin was born in 1793 in Virginia on the banks of the New River in modern-day Wythe County, but raised mostly in Missouri. His father, Moses Austin, was a businessman and a land speculator with a big idea to establish an American colony in Spanish-controlled Texas. Moses got permission from Spanish authorities in 1820, but died shortly thereafter. That's when Stephen, at just 27 years old, stepped in to carry out his father's dream. It was a risky move. Texas was a remote and dangerous place, ruled by a foreign government. But Austin had a vision, and he was determined to make it work. In 1821, Austin traveled to Texas and began negotiating with Spanish and later Mexican authorities to bring American settlers into the region. He was granted permission to settle 300 families, what would become known as the Old 300. These settlers came mostly from the American South, bringing with them their language, their customs, their controversial slavery. Austin brought it all, and he worked hard to balance the demands of his settlers with the laws and expectations of the Mexican government. He learned Spanish, made friends with Mexican officials, and became the key figure in keeping the fragile colony afloat. Stephen F. Austin wasn't a typical frontier hero. He wasn't loud or brash. He was a thinker, a writer, and a negotiator. For years, he acted as a go-between for the American settlers and the Mexican government. He urged the settlers to follow Mexican law, to become Catholics, and to assimilate into Mexican culture. But as tensions grew between Anglo settlers and Mexico, Austin found himself caught in the middle. In 1833, Austin traveled once again to Mexico City, this time to petition for Texas to become a separate Mexican state with more autonomy. While he waited for an answer, he wrote a letter back home urging Texans to begin organizing their own government. That letter was intercepted. Austin was arrested and thrown into a Mexican prison without trial. For over a year he sat. It was a turning point in his life. While he had once been Mexico's greatest advocate among the Anglo settlers, his imprisonment hardened him. When he returned to Texas in 1835, the political winds had shifted. War seemed inevitable. Austin, the moderate, the diplomat, the go-between, now supported Texan independence. Though he wasn't a military leader, Austin was central to the push for Texas independence. He rallied support in the United States, raised funds, and helped shape public opinion. He even ran for president of the newly formed Republic of Texas, but lost to Sam Houston. Still, Houston made him Secretary of State, a role he served in until his untimely death in 1836, at just 43 years old. His last words reportedly were, "The independence of Texas is recognized. Don't worry about me. I'm dying, but I'm going to a better country." Stephen F. Austin's name lives on highways, in counties, and of course in the capital city of Texas, the city that bears his name, Austin. But more than that, his legacy is in the idea of Texas itself. He wasn't a general. He didn't fight at the Alamo or lead troops at San Jacinto. But he built the framework. He laid the tracks. He brought the people. Without Austin, there might not have been a Texas to fight for. Of course, his legacy is also tied to the challenges of colonization, to land disputes, cultural clashes, and the early seeds of the Texas-Mexico divide. History, after all, is never just one color. It's a mix of light and of shadow. Stephen F. Austin once called Texas his life's work, and in many ways it was. He was a builder of dreams, a student of diplomacy, and a man who stood at the crossroads of two worlds. Thanks for joining me on today's Texas Untold. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a comment in the comment section below, and share the show with your fellow history lovers. And if you ever find yourself driving down Highway 290 in the heart of Texas, remember the man behind the name, the Father of Texas. Until next time, y'all take care and keep exploring the untold stories of Texas.